I can record it. I'll send you guys a link post the session, so you can access it on YouTube. Right. And again, please feel free to ask me to slow down, to repeat, to do things over and over. I'm happy to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is click the Start Teaching button. What that will do is that it takes me into the teaching mode. We recently added this welcome tour, which is pretty cool, which will give you in a few steps what exactly the platform is all about. So you can just click this saying yes tour, please. Your students do not see this, only the teachers do, right? So they will it'll show you what you can do with the toolbar, and it'll show you what are the different tools available to you and so forth. But you can do this on your own time. I'm going to walk you through anyways in this session, or you can skip it completely. So I'll explain the things on this board to you. The first thing, obviously, as soon as you get in, you can start drawing, right? There is nothing to click, no registration, you can just start drawing. On the left-hand side is our toolbar. So starting from the bottom up, the first thing I'm going to do is skip the lasso thing. I'm going to start with the tools button. These are your basic drawing tools. There's a line tool, right, that you can draw lines with. There's an arrow tool, which we added yesterday. You can create arrows. There's an ellipse tool that you can make ellipses with. There's a rectangle tool that you can create rectangles with. And of course, you can go back to the brush really easily. Anytime, or there's an eraser. This is an object eraser that can delete objects completely, right? And anytime you want to do a shortcut, go back to drawing, you can just press the escape button. It'll take you back to drawing. And on the right-hand side here, on this bottom corner, you can see you can increase the size of the brush. So I can make this bigger, so you can start drawing bigger. You can make it more opaque. So if you want to use it like a highlighter, you can make it opaque as well. So I can do the opacity so that you can change. You can change colors by clicking this button. And this is what kids really like. When I change the color, you see all of my screen, all of my buttons have actually become the same color I'm drawing with. Right? And then you can, of course, go back to the opacity. To enter text is pretty simple. You just start typing where your mouse is. So you can say hello, and it'll start typing where your mouse is. You can obviously select the text tool from here and do the same, right? There are requests in the pipeline to make a better text editor. We are working on it. The size of the text is determined by the size of the brush. So if I make this smaller, I can type smaller. If I make it bigger, the text becomes bigger and so forth, right? So those are the basic tools that we have for drawing stuff. Another very unique feature we have is that you can upload PDFs. So if you have a multi-page PDF, for example, I can click this button saying upload file, and it will create a multi-page book in Whiteboard.chat for me. So you can see that this is the page number 1. I can call it page number 1 of the PDF. It came here. I can write over it, so that so can the students. Right? The page number 2 of the PDF becomes page number 2 in our session. Right? So everybody has access. So if you have up to 30 pages of PDF, you can upload it really easily, and you can create a workbook for the students to come in and start using it. Right? And they cannot erase anything that the teacher does. They cannot take out any of the things that you have put in on the board. They can just add to it. Right? So that's the good thing about it. You can just keep adding stuff. You can give examples here, and they can start filling it in, which I'll show you in more detail. This is the select tool. I'll explain this to you. You can double click any object, anything on the screen, or you can use this select tool, and you can do operations. So you can say, hey, I want to, for example, rotate this number, right? You can rotate it. You can, this is funky. We can animate objects as well. Kids like that. So you can animate it. So you can make an animated board as well, right? So it'll keep rotating that object, or it'll move it around if you draw a car, or you can put an emoji there, all of that stuff, right? You can, I'll explain some of the other things to you in a bit as we go along, right? So I think that's pretty much it from the basic things. So now I've prepared my work. I've started, I prepared all this work. I can invite students by clicking this link on the top right. There's a button called invite. I can click it. So what teachers mostly do is that they click this button, the invite URL copy, and they put this in their Google Classroom, in their Canvas, or their calendar invite, or even in Zoom chat, for example. Right? And when the students click that link that is sent out, it automatically creates an individual board for all of the students to join, right? And they can, I'll show you that in a bit as well. So in the meanwhile, I'll send this link using our internal Slack chat to my team, so they can start joining as well. So you can see that. And in parallel, what I'll do is I'll open another browser on the side so you can see what the student experience looks like. So on the left hand side is my teacher board, right? I'm going to open Firefox, which is another browser on the right hand side, and this will be my student board. So I'm just going to paste the URL that I copied, right? And it will essentially open a student board on the right hand side, right? Let me do this. If I can add 2 students. So if the student joins for the first time, they're new to Whiteboard.chat, the first thing you will ask them is, hey, what is your name? Right? I can say, my name is Firefox, right? And that will set the name for the student so the teacher can see who all are the students who are joining this board, right? And now comes the really cool observability part, right? So what we can do is you can enable grid view here by clicking this button on the bottom left. And you can exactly see what each and every student is doing on their respective boards, right? So for example, this Firefox person here, I'm going to change the color to be a little bit brighter so we can see, right? So their tile is this. So these tiles correspond one to each person. Think of it like a camera that is sitting on top of or sitting behind the student's shoulder. Whatever they're doing is visible here on this tile. So if the student is drawing on their board, they're filling up their questions, you can see that this tile is being highlighted. I can click the tile to make it bigger, so I can pay more attention to what the student is doing as a teacher. Or you can join this board as well to collaborate with them one-on-one, right? If you want to give them specific questions, you want to do something special, you can join the board right from here, and you can collaborate with them one-on-one. If you have, these are 9 kids, we can go up to 100 kids in a classroom. There are multiple pages you can go through, it shows 9 at a time. But another cool thing is that if the kid has moved on to the second page, for example, for the assignment, the view automatically updates. So you can actually see what the kid is doing on the second page now. And the teacher can go to the first page of the same student's workbook and start correcting, for example, or looking at what they're doing. So it's completely up to what you want to do with the platform. Another cool thing I can do is that if you have, like, for example, an iPad or something where you have a digital pen, you can join this same board. I like to do that using just scanning this QR code, for example, right? If I join the board using a QR code, and if I go back to my board, to my home screen, right, on the left-hand side. So you can see that I can write with my iPad, and then it just shows up on the main screen as well, right? So, join, right? So you can use multiple devices at the same time to work with the students on the teacher board as well, right? Now, if I go back to my book, so going back to my book is equivalent of you going to the top head of the class, right, to your desk or near your whiteboard, right? That's essentially what it is. So now you're back to where you are. The students are working on their individual boards. There are some of the more interesting features I'll show you now, right? There's a grade here. So this, you can add multiple grades. Teachers love this. From like math teachers, you can add a simple grade where you can draw graphs. Some teachers asked for a bigger grid for younger children to write numbers in. So our whiteboard is used from kids in kindergarten to universities. It's a big variant of who all uses the whiteboard right now, right? So you can do this. Even if kids are practicing handwriting, right? We have a handwriting grid, so you can actually use it to handwriting. And all of this, whatever I'm doing is, of course, available to the kids on their page number 4. I'm on page number 4 here. So whatever I do here comes up on the right-hand side on the kids view on page number 4. And we have a music sheet too. So it's used by music teachers too. I'll show you some of the palettes that the music teachers use. Okay. So yeah, that's the grid stuff. Now, if the students have a question, they're working on something, they can raise their hand. So you can see this power button here. They can raise their hand. If they click the button, you can say, hey, Firefox and Dowell are requesting for help. I can actually click one of them and go to their board directly. Okay? So as I click it, now I'm on this person's board, and then we can collaborate with each other on their board. We also have a chat function where you can chat with the teacher, the student and teacher can chat one-on-one or a one-to-many, which I will show you in a second as well. And once I'm done collaborating with the student, I can go back to my instructor board and continue doing what I was doing. And you can still see there are other students in the class who are requesting for help. Maybe you guys can click your hands, and if you don't want help anymore, if they click it, it will go away. Okay. So
sorry to interrupt, Pawan, but there are multiple questions about student and teacher sharing their screens, and how a student can see teacher's work, how a teacher can show them to students. So if you can explain that one more time, that would be really beneficial, because there are multiple questions related to that.
Okay, cool. I will do that. So, okay, so on the left-hand side, this is the teacher board, right? Imagine this is on your computer. Dowell, can you please? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so on the left-hand side is the teacher board, right? So whatever I do on the teacher board, automatically on the right-hand side is a student view, right? So whatever I do on the teacher board gets replicated in real time to the student's board, right? So whatever I'm doing here, I'm typing something, I'm drawing something, it gets replicated to the student board. I upload a world map, for example, right? Right? So I'm teaching continents. I upload a world map. It gets replicated to the student board on its own, right? And whatever the student is doing on their board doesn't show up on the teacher's board at all. But the teacher can go to the grid view and watch what each of the students are doing. Right? So if I go to see what Firefox was doing, Firefox is drawing stuff on their board. Right? So I can see that. But the rest of the students all have their individual boards at the same time. Right? So there is no duplication of work. So what the teacher can view each and every person's individual board and their own board, but the student can only work on their board at any given time. I'll show you there's a group mode as well, group board mode, group board where you can do breakout rooms, but that's different. But most of the time the kids are working on their own boards. Since I'm here, I'll show you one more cool thing. So you can create a palette, for example, this thing that the world map that I created, you want the kids to fill in where are the continents, right? So you can say, hey, Africa, Asia, right? So I can type these and say, students can clone these objects, right? So what the students can do is that it appears like a palette or a sticker to the students. So on the student board, these objects appear. The students cannot delete anything that the teacher does, right? Remember? So even if I take the eraser and try and delete any of this stuff, I can only delete or erase things that were done by the student, and I cannot erase anything that was done by the teacher, right? But these special objects which the teacher has created, which the students can duplicate, the students can clone them and put them in the right place, right? Say, oh, this is Africa, right? and this is Asia. So, and you can do the same thing for multiple objects. Whatever palettes we do not support, you can create your own palettes. You can put emojis here. You can put stickers here. Whatever else you want to, right? You can do all of that stuff. And for example, I can put a emoji here and make it available to the kids as well, right? And then they can use that emoji on their board too. Right? So you can do multiple different things, but I hope I answered the view question. If not, let me know.
And sorry, so one thing is that, and this was also a question that people have asked during the registration, that what does go to my book mean? So if you look at it on the grid view, there are two things, grid view and go to my book. So if you can explain that.
So yeah, I know it's confusing. I should call it something else, but go to my book is the teacher's book. So the main parent book from which all the other books are derived from is the book that is called the go to my book, the instructor's book, right? That's what the button does. It takes, so for example, if I'm collaborating with a student, now I want to join this person's Firefox's board, right? So I can go here, I can click here, right? Now I am on the Firefox's board. Now I'm collaborating with them. So you can see, we can see each other's mouse even, right? On the same board. So whatever is being moved on the right is shown on the left and so forth. And now if I'm done collaborating with them, I want to go back to my book, I just click that button, which changes name to make it more confusing. But essentially now I'm back to the teacher's board. Now I cannot see what the Firefox student has done on their board. Okay. All right. So there's a timer function also which we added. So you can actually set up a timer, a 5-minute timer or 10-minute timer, whatever. And then you can see that the timer appears on all the students' boards automatically and starts counting down. Right. So if you have a time function that test that you're doing, you can actually use that to do it. And of course, you can cancel it at any time from here, saying I don't want to show this anymore. Right? We have built-in palettes, like I was saying. So we have 3 palettes that we added. It's very easy for us to add new palettes. So if you want something to be added, please let us know. Like this is a math palette where you can drop in math symbols. We have a music palette with music teachers love, where you can actually have your student write music, right? Right on the whiteboard. And of course, the students can use the palettes on their boards as well. And whatever his teacher is doing is getting replicated on its own to here. And for little kids, we actually added an alphabet palette so they can write alphabets on the boards as well. And it's super easy for us to import new palettes in here. So if you have ideas and you wish you wanted something, it's very easy for us to add new stuff in here. Okay, so now I can close this by clicking this button. So that was the palette. I showed you the thing. Another thing that if you want to, this is another, so now if I click these avatars of the students, you can do several things from here. I'll show you one by one, right? The first thing I want to show you is if you want to showcase a student's work to the rest of the class, right? You don't want for them to share over Zoom, for example, right? You can say, hey, I want to showcase Firefox's work to the rest of the class. I can click this button and every student's board changes over to be Firefox's work, right? So you can showcase, the student can talk to their work. You want to show the other kids what the student is doing. It's very easy to do, right? And I can close this very easily from here. I can click this and say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. And then it goes, every student goes back to their individual boards, right? The other thing we can
show that again. Somebody was asking.
Sure. So yeah, just click this little thing here which says showcase student, right? And then that becomes the view of all of the whole class starts to see the thing, right? And whatever the student is doing, they can explain to the rest of the class.
Pawan, right? The question more was that how did you even open that first pop-up where the lock class and all of that showed up? So
right. Yeah. So here on the top, you'll see these avatars of all the people attending this class or this session. You just click that and it will show up here as to who those people are, right? And you can click the different functions here. These are the administrative functions. Okay. So that's one. You can showcase the student. You can lock the classroom. Now, we were told that some kids, when the teacher was teaching on the main board, for example, they were explaining how to do a problem. They went to the kids' boards and they saw that they were drawing flowers and trees on, because kids love to use the whiteboard, right? So there is a way to say you lock the board so the teacher can draw stuff, but or do whatever they need to explain stuff, but the students cannot do anything. So right now it's completely locked out. This is also useful for asynchronous assessments. So for example, if you want to do a timed activity and you want to do corrections later on after the timer runs out, you can just lock the classroom and the students can never update their boards anymore. Because remember that link that I shared in the beginning, the invite link, if the students click that link anytime, they can get back to their boards very easily, right? But if the boards are locked out, then they cannot modify them. But if you want them to work asynchronously completely, you can keep it unlocked and the students can go back to their boards at any time and keep working on the rest of the pages that are available to them, right? And I can unlock this. Now, if I unlock this from here, now again, the students can start to annotate what they need to, right? So I showed you you can make co-teachers. So if you have more than one teacher and you want to make co-teachers, you can click this button here, which says make co-teacher. And then I'll make Firefox, for example, a co-teacher for the class, right? Now, Firefox has the ability to annotate the instructor board. Firefox has the ability to exactly do what the teacher does, right? They have the ability to go to grid view. They can see the rest of the students. If any other students asks for help, so Praveen, can you please ask for help, right? Okay, maybe two people. Then you can see that one teacher can go help Praveen, another one can go help Shilpa, and so forth, right? And so that's easy. And then of course, you can take away the co-teacher privileges as well. So if you just click that same icon, it'll make the student back a student. So now you see that they don't have the capability to see other children or to do any other stuff that the teacher can do, right? Another thing that we can do is create group boards. So for example, if you want to create a group, instead of individual work, you want to assign 2 or 3 people or more people to work on a common board, right? Oh, before this, let me do this first. We have a one-to-many chat function as well. So you can enable chat for this classroom. If I just say create chat, it'll enable this chat icon here. So I can say hi, and I as the teacher can talk to all of the students, but the students cannot see each other's messages. So for example, this guy Praveen said hello, but it doesn't show up on Firefox's board. Right? But whatever the children are typing, whether they are on their individual boards or whether they're in the group boards, automatically comes to the teacher. The teacher can always keep an eye on what all each of the other students are talking about, right? Even if they are in a group board, in a breakout room, or in the main room, or in their individual rooms, right? So they can always see what the kids are talking about, right? Now I'll create a group board. So what the group board is like a subset of kids can join. So I can say, hey, I want Praveen, Dhawal, and this Firefox guy to be part of a group. So I select 3 people from the list. I move them to the right. So basically these are going to be the people who are going to be part of this blue group. I call it blue. And I just create that group. Okay. So as soon as I do that, basically what happens is you can see that the student has moved to the blue group room, right? And then they can all start to collaborate on that room automatically. And in the group board view, I can actually see that all the students who are part of the group board are working on the group board now, right? They're not working on their individual board, they're all collaborating on a single board. And then the kids have the capability to go to they can go back to the group board, they can choose to go back to the group board, or they can choose to go back to their individual boards as well, right? So they have access to both of the boards available to them, right? So this is the individual board. If I want to go to my group board that I'm assigned to, I just click the group board name, and now I'm part of these 3 kids group. If you guys can draw on the same board, right? Or I can chat with them even in the group mode here, right? So, and then whatever the kids are talking about in the group board, for example, is still visible to the teacher, right? They can see what the kids are talking about, what they're drawing. You can see that here it's a little bit hard to read, but you can see Praveen is in the group blue board, so is Firefox is on the group blue board, and so is Dhawal on the group blue board, right? And they are collaborating on the same board. And I, as the teacher, can then delete the group board, right? Or disable the group board. It won't delete the board. I still have access to it. And all the students go back to their original boards, right? Whatever they were started with. And I can show you all of the boards of a classroom are all automatically saved. So if I click this manage board button here on the 3rd button from the top, if you open this, you can actually read it better. You can see what each of these icons do, right? You just click this hamburger menu on the top, and it will open it so that you can read it better, right? I can click this manage boards, and you can see the top is what the class that I'm working on right now. I can call it my demo class, right? And I can see all of the boards that are part of that demo class, all of the children boards. So I have Dhawal's board, I have Praveen's board, I have the Firefox board, and I have the group board as well, right? So all of the boards are available to me. Here is a group blue board at the end who has 3 participants, right? So I can look at them asynchronously anytime, or even after the fact that they're done. I can get to any of the boards really easily. And I can download this in PDF format as well. So if I click this download button here, right, on this side, I can download my board. The kids can download their boards as well, right? They can download their board, whatever they have done, right? So it will download all the pages in PDF format for the kids to keep as records for themselves, right? Or the teacher can download the whole classroom, right? And then the whole classroom will have a header so this is a file on my computer. You can upload it for corrections or whatever else for your own records, right? You can download the PDF. Of course, everything is automatically saved, so you do not need to do that. But the boards do expire in about 30 days. So it's better if you want to keep them, you download it and keep them locally on your computers as well. And yeah, there's another interesting thing that you can create polls. So you can actually do polls for the kids too. So you can click this new poll button. You can say, hey, I want to send a poll to all of the students in the class. You select the students you want to send the poll to, right? And you send them a poll. Ask them a question: what color do you like? And say red, blue, green, okay? And it'll send the kids
We got it, Pawan. I got
sorry. Okay,
poll.
so here you can see the poll came to this guy, and you can just click. When the kids get a click, they can click a button, and you can see all the responses from all the kids on this side. Right? What did they do? You can also send them a link. So if you want to attach a link, for example, to a particular instance, right? You can say you can send them a link to a YouTube video or some article you want to read, I want them to read, and it'll, when they come to their boards, oh, I didn't select who I wanted to send to. I can send it to a couple of people, right? And you can see that it will come here on their boards. So as soon as they log in, they will see this thing. And when they click it, the teacher comes to know which all students have actually clicked the link or not clicked the link as well. Right? So it's easy for the teacher to send them links and make sure that everybody is opening them to where it does. And it opens it in a different tab, so that once they're done doing this, they can just close the tab and go back to their whiteboard. So it doesn't obstruct what they were supposed to be doing. Right?
There was one question, Pawan, about weak connections, that people have found that other tools don't load well on lower bandwidth connections. So if you want to address that.
Yeah, so I think that's one of our really positive things about the whiteboard, is that we do not send most other tools, they send the full image of the screen, the video of the screen, right? That takes up a lot of bandwidth. We actually send the small little objects, right? So that allows us to use very skinny connections very nicely with the students, right? Like I was showing you, this thing is used all around the world. It's used in Brazil in villages. It's used in India in villages where they do not have high bandwidth connections to their houses. So it works really well because of the fact that we send very skinny objects down to the students. We don't try to share the whole screen. Right? That's a really positive thing about Whiteboard.chat. Yeah, and I covered the manage boards thing as well. So
for the manage board, Pawan, there were questions about, can student access the boards even after the class is done? So if you can go back into that little bit into detail about the asynchronous teaching, how the students can access the board again.
Yeah, sure. So what I can do is, like, let's say let's do this. Right now, what I can do is that remember that invite link that I had shared. I'll copy that invite link, right? I'll save it. Let's assume now I close. The right hand side is the browser for the students, right? So I'm going to just close the browser. The kid has gone home. They don't have access. They close the browser that they were working on. Now when they come back, they can go to Canvas or they can go to Google Classroom and just open the exact same link that they were working with earlier, and they'll get back to exactly their board where it was, right? The teacher can choose to leave it open such that kids can work asynchronously. They can continue working on the pages or the homework that they hadn't finished in class. Or the teacher, if it was an assessment, the teacher can choose to lock it, but the student can still see what the teacher is. If the teacher puts the answer keys on the board later on, the students can still see it, but they cannot change the content. So it works in both ways. It's up to the teachers to allow the students to work asynchronously, or just view the boards asynchronously, but do not change it. So it's up to you how you want to structure it. Okay, I hope I answered that.
Another thing you may want to go through is, yes, so one more question about the manage board, Pawan, that people are saying that what if I want to use the same board for multiple of my classes? If you can show the save a copy function.
Yeah, this is a Lindsay special. So okay, so what you do is, like, you prepare, like if you have multiple classrooms and you want to share the same material, right? So you say, I'm just going to show one page at a time, just for the, but you can have multiple pages in this board. I'm going to call this is for my 10 a.m. class, right? I can rename the board from here, say this is for my 10 a.m. class, right? I can save a copy at that point. You can say, click this button on the top left, the second button, which says save a copy. And then you say, this is for my class at 1 p.m., right? So it will make me 2 copies of my boards. So one for my 1 p.m. class, one for my 10 a.m. class, right? And then you can take that invite link and share it on Canvas or Google Classroom with that class, right? So you'll have multiple classes, but the same material, right? And when the students come, they'll get to exactly that same classroom board, but all the material will be the same. So we can keep going. What I'll do is that I'm going to just share this link with you so you get the students' experience as well. So I'm going to just put this on chat. You're more than welcome to click this and join as students onto this board, right? And then we can go through questions as well, right, while you guys are playing with it. You can see as you are joining, you are getting your own 2-star boards and you can play with them. Is there any other questions, Dhawal, that we need to cover, or should we go over the questions that people submitted in their
yeah, we can totally go back to the registration question, but people are saying that can you demonstrate how you copied the boards into class 1 p.m. and class 10 a.m. one more time?
Okay, sure. All right, so so this is the 1 p.m. class. Okay, so let me go back to home page, right? Let's start from fresh. I click the start drawing button. I click the start teaching button. I upload my content. So the first thing I do is let's upload a different file this time, right? So I upload this file. Oh, I can resize, of course. I can resize any of these images. I can move them. So I can resize this to make it smaller, right? I can move it to a certain place, right? You can clone images. Okay, anyway, there are a lot more functions. So, okay, so this was, let's say, my class 11 a.m., right? So this is my first, I created multiple pages while uploading content. I called this class 11 a.m. Right? I click this button, it says save copy, right here. It says save copy. And it'll ask me what is the name of the copy that you want to create, right? So I call it class at 2 p.m., right? So now if I click this button on the side, this is an easier view. It's a list view. So if you click this button in the manage page, you can see all your classes. You can see class at 2 p.m. and class at 1 p.m., right? So you can see both of your classes that got created. And how you, so for the 2 p.m. class, what you do is that you click the invite button. You take this link. This is the link that allows the students to make a copy of this board for themselves, right? This is the magic URL. So you take the magic URL and then you put it in your learning management system, right? Whatever it may be, or the calendar invite. And when the students click that, they'll get a copy of this class 2 p.m. board, right? So all of that will happen automatically. You don't need to do anything. You just need to paste one link, and the students will have that link till whenever you want them to, right? Okay. Any more question?
Pawan, one more question. If you go back to the grid view, there is a question about what is the significance of the numbers that we have 1-1, 1-2, 2-1.
So that is a request from a professor. He wanted to have the students not move around in a classroom. So think of it like roll numbers or desk numbers. Like it's a row comma column, right? So that's what they stand for. But again, if you have alternate ideas, people have requested, can we alphabetically arrange it by students' names? We are working on that. Can you create groups of students that you want to put together? We are working on that as well. So, but this signifies row number 1, column number 1, 2, 3, and so forth, and it keeps going. So if you have 100 students, they will not move around. They'll stick to where their tile is.
They are also asking if you can show how to get to the emojis.
Okay, so the emojis are a little bit iffy. So it depends on your computer really. It gets to, you can always post emojis. So if you just go to wherever you want to, right? Like this is maybe easier. So if I want to just take like a screenshot of an emoji, for example, right? I can just paste it into the board directly. So you just say control, or it depends. If you're on a Mac, you press Command V, or if you're in a other computer, you just do Control V, and it'll put the emoji here, right? I can make the emojis rotate and do other stuff as well, right? Just for fun. I can make them move around on the board. But another way is just like a text editor. So if you have a Mac, it's really easy. You instead of when you open this text window, you do the right click, which is a double tap, right? You can say emojis and symbols. My colleague's 8-year-old daughter actually showed us this. So 9-year-old, I think. Yeah, so we didn't know that you could do that, but yeah, so you can put emoji symbols right on there as well. All right. Yeah. Anything else, Dhaval?
Not at the point. I'm going through the questions that people have asked during the registration, and I will see the questions that are not yet covered. But we can ask the audience if they have, I mean, those who have joined the board as a student, if they are having any issues or anything that they need help with, while I'll go through the questions.
No, but yeah, one more thing I wanted to show you guys. Where's my Excel?
Sorry, Pawan, I'm not sure. I think you did cover the mathematics and alphabets drawer. If you can show the mathematics symbol one more time.
Sure. They are quite rudimentary. I'm not very happy with how it is right now. We will change it. But if you click this palette icon on the top, right? So you can actually put mathematical symbols onto the screen as well, right? But yeah, I think it's not very friendly at this moment. We are thinking about adding the ability to type by keyboard, but then make it such that kids can do it too. Oh, one thing I forgot, I just realized because my emoji is going back behind this guy. So any other pictures that you want to make a background so that they don't cover the kids' work, you can double click it and or use the select tool and say set it as the background, right? So they go to the back of the board and they don't ever change, right? So they'll stick in the back of the board. Yeah, so what I was going to show you on the Excel sheet is basically all of the features that I just showed you. Maybe 80% of them are all requested by teachers, right? So we love to get feedback from teachers. We love to make this tool to be friendly to teachers from all around the world, right? And so please feel free to reach out to us. Most of the time, if we can, we give you the feature on the same day that you requested for, if not a week later. Right, so that's our turnaround time. So please feel free to reach out to me or to us using our emails. Okay, I was gonna see the questions. Let's quickly see if we covered all of them. Is it free? Yes, it is free. Is it user friendly? You guys tell us. Can I use it with Canvas? Yes, it works beautifully with Canvas, with Chromebooks and Zoom. Most people put the links in Canvas or Google Classroom. How the current features, how is it different from Jamboard? I showed you it's a one-to-many. Whiteboard.chat has this, but they don't do the merge thing. Plus, our whiteboard has a lot more features now, thanks to you guys. It is no longer just a whiteboard. Zoom, you can use it with, we are using it with Zoom right now, right? So essentially you use your voice and video from Zoom. We have a built-in video call as well, so you can use it if you have to, but most kids are already used to Zoom and Google Meet, so we don't publicize it that much. But if you have an outage and you want to get to something really quickly, you just press this button, it'll start a video call for all the kids automatically, and they'll join on its own. Is an easy way to pre-make whiteboards. I showed you that. Math symbols, yes. Spotlight a student's board. We showed you that as well. Go to my board. I hope that I explained that. What is a book? A book is a multiple board thing. So if you have multiple boards, the students do see the countdown clock on their boards. I showed you the video call. Upload audio, we don't have right now. We are working towards it because some people who have kids who do not understand English asked for that as well. Do kids need to add any extensions? Nothing, it just works off the bat. How remote learning, you guys tell us how you use it. We just use that information to share with other teachers. First graders, like I said, kindergartners love it. One teacher recently told us that she uses it with her kindergartners all the time, and if kindergartners can use it, I'm sure first graders can too. So enhance remote teaching, again, this is something that you guys can tell us. Yeah, so weak connections, it works really well. Sometimes when you have weak connections, really weak connections, at the top it will say network disconnected. So at that time, it's best to press this refresh button here and it will reload the content from where you are. But most of the time it works really well with weak connections as well. Can we use this to monitor Google Docs? Again, so not yet. We might add the function to embed a text editor in here as well. How many folks can access each board at once? Yeah, so about 100 people can access one classroom, and the boards can be exported as PDFs. Can you save the whiteboard? Yes, the teacher has access to all of the boards at any time, right? They have access to, they can use it, or you can use the PDF download. How is this better than Jamboard? Like I showed you, you can do one-to-many and then some of the other functions. I hope I showed you resizing. I can show you one more time. So I didn't cover it that well. So if you just click, oops, this is the child board. Right, so if I just select this image, double click it, it's a little clunky, but it works. So, and then you expand the size of the image, it becomes bigger or smaller, right? Whichever way you want to go. How can I incorporate Whiteboard.chat with writing? I'm assuming handwriting, then you'll need a pen or a stylus like I was showing you on my iPad. But if you're talking about typing, we are adding a text editor, like I said, so that you don't need to type in the little text box. You can actually have a full-fledged text window. So yeah, grade ability levels, like I said, universities use it, kindergarten kids use it. ELS, we are working towards some of the functions for that. Stay tuned, it will come. Can you approve any drawings before they're posted? I don't know what that means. A collaborative board, you cannot, can you tell which student erased the board? Not yet, but we are adding the function to show who drew what. So it will probably come out in a week.
I think approved drawings means maybe the teacher needs to approve anything that waste the student's space.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that, okay, so that makes sense. But they'll paste it on their individual boards anyways, and the teachers have the ability to delete it if they don't have.
Yeah.
So the kids work, so I showed you how you can create groups. So you can have groups with 2 students each, right? And you can create 5 groups. You can prepare boards ahead of time. Most teachers do that on Sundays. Right? You can adjust the width of the lines by moving that slider on the bottom. Right? Multiple pages I showed you, Google Classroom. The devices, it works in most browsers. Wherever you have Chrome, you can use it. Google Classroom, you just share the link. Can kids chat using audio? You can if you use our audio function. Actually, our audio function and groups are pretty cool too. But again, maybe we'll cover that in a subsequent webinar. But you can create group views with our video chat function as well, where you have multiple different groups or breakout rooms. Language arts, again, I'm not very familiar. I would love feedback. Zoom and Canvas, I think we covered most of the others here. Asynchronous and synchronous. We have some how-tos and Medium articles. If you go to our webpage, if you go to, I should show you that too. Dawal has started to write some how-tos and blogs. So if you go to help on this top right, you can actually see a lot of blogs and how do you want to use it in asynchronous functions. What are some of the new features that we keep adding? So you'll see, I suggest you go through some of the blog postings here, and it'll answer some of these questions in here as well about asynchronous and synchronous, which I did not cover today. All right, reactions I talked about. We can poll the students really easily. Okay, I think we covered most of the things we wanted to. We are almost 4 minutes into the thing. Unless there are more questions I can answer. But like I said, if you guys want to stick around, we'll be here for 30 more minutes. If you want to play around and ask more questions or ask me to repeat stuff which I did not cover. Thank you. Thanks a lot for coming, all of you guys. And please follow us, give us feedback, continue to give us feedback every day. We love that. So thanks a lot.
So yes, Pawan, there aren't any more questions, but there are several feature requests which we are kind of noting it down. But as far as I think the questions that were there, you have covered them, pretty much all of them. And I know people are still typing in, so I'll let you know if there are new questions coming up.
Yeah, we will stick around. We can play a little bit more with the whiteboard. I wonder what some of the participants have done with it. We can go back and check. And I'll share the recording with you guys as well. I will post the recording so you can have access to it offline.